Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the ending of Dragon Quest VI. We just defeated Mortimer last episode, and now we're gonna see the ending. It's a fairly long one, and there's no action during it, so feel free to skip if you want to. There is, however, something interesting at the ending that had some Dragon Quest fans debating, so stick around for that if you wish. Or just skip like 18 minutes ahead. It's your choice. Anyways, joining me is Skyzo. How are you doing?
Hello, YouTube. I'm doing well.
Now, it turns out this whole demon world was sort of tied to Mortimer's existence, so blowing him up starts blowing up the world as well. Presumably, the sages got everyone out of Dodge, but we don't really know for sure, because we don't get to really revisit any towns. I mean, we do, but not really. Also, do you recognize this trippy wavy effect from part 11?
Yes, I do. That's the one with the child, right?
Yup.
Interesting.
And now for some wonderful music.
Well, the music is pretty good, I'd say, in this game.
Indeed. You know, in regards to Death Tamora's name, that's Mortimer. I always just sort of took it as an overly clumsy name, but, you know, the Dragon Quest IV boss actually had a name like that as well. He was called Sorrow, and then he became Death Sorrow after he evolved into, like, a super form that erased his memories. And the Japanese name is kind of formatted like that, so I wonder if Death Tamora the name was meant to be split in two. Like, it would be Death, like a title like Darth Tamor, so it'd be Death Tamora. You know what I mean?
It's super edgy. Kinda like it.
Indeed. It would fit with the Death Sorrow naming at any rate.
Honestly, Death Sorrow sounds like, I don't even know, to be honest. It sounds emo.
Well, if it helps you feel any better, the localizers renamed him Desaro the Manslayer.
That's more like it.
Yeah. That's actually one of my favorite tweaks in all of the Dragon Quest history. Like it is such an awesome name, isn't it? Sorrow the Manslayer.
Well, just the title of Manslayer in general is pretty good. I think that's what sells the name in a way.
Indeed. And here is the dream world of Somnia. Now, he says the king is expecting us, but the king isn't here. Captain Blade is. But, where is the king, I wonder?
Well, we're about to find out.
Seeing us below. Now, do you know what he means by that?
I feel like I might have an idea of what he means by that.
Well, in any case, we will find out soon.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, we're revisiting Sorceria, Ashland's homeland. So, what do you think he means by the world below? But we're testing your DQ6 knowledge here.
Well, let's just say I'm more or less illiterate in the lore of these games, but I'd imagine it has something to do with the dream world.
Well, we're in the dream world right now.
Yeah, so that alludes to that even more.
Yep, and now we're going to go down to the real world.
Okay.
Huh. You know, there's a bit of dialogue I didn't catch the last time. This guy, Old Man Soren, in the remakes, he suggested that Ashlyn study under King Zenith, the king guy in the Cloud Castle. That might explain why... We'll get into that later. I almost spoiled it.
Okay, well... I mean, I'm enjoying the soundtrack, is my commentary for the moment.
Indeed. And now back
That's
to...
what happens.
What?
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. What were you saying before?
Something about the soundtrack, that's all.
Oh, okay. Anyways, here's Rex's hometown. Something interesting will happen here after some banter.
You know, I'm reminded of the occasion where the game just kind of decided that it had no translation, and they just told you that it was the end of it.
Oh, that is just one of those moments where you just gotta wonder why.
And it's just... I don't have any commentary for that.
Uh-oh. They're turning translucent. They're turning translucent just like we were in the real world before we got the dream dew. Except now it's gonna be a little more permanent. You see...
Oh, okay, well... I'm sorry about that. So we let the viewers know that... Wait, did we? No, we didn't. So this is a re-recording, right? So do we want to... I guess I just spoiled it, but yeah, there we go.
What were you gonna say?
Well, I just said that this is a re-recording. That's it.
Oh. Do you mind if I edit that out in Audacity? We gotta hide the man behind the curtain.
Sure. Although, you're gonna have to edit some other things out, and I feel like this is gone on long enough. I feel like we're gonna have to redo.
We'll see. Maybe we'll just leave it in and just have it be awkward banter in the middle of the episode.
That is gonna be strange.
Okay, so here she explains what Mortimer was up to. Basically, he was trying to take the dream world and turn it into something physical that you could visit whenever you wanted, and then smash them together with his demon world so that he could extend his sorrow and misery and griefing to all the worlds and rule over every living thing. And we killed him, so now the worlds are going back to how they were. Kind of like Kingdom Hearts, now that I think about it. You ever play that game?
No, I haven't.
Well, in that game, the Heartless, the dark creatures, they created pathways between the worlds so they could conquer them. So beating up the bad guys also got rid of those pathways, meaning the worlds were inaccessible, at least until they had a sequel, and then, you know, you had to access the worlds again.
So, I think that... I think you said something about the dream world not being available in the sequels, right?
No. There is no sequel to this game. I was talking about Kingdom Hearts.
Wait, really? But, no, I meant like, the dream world is not mentioned in the other games, right? Or is it like, mentioned less, or just not explored as much?
They are not explored in the other games at all.
Okay, that makes sense.
Actually, I shouldn't say that because I haven't completed all the games. Like, I haven't beaten 7. I haven't beaten 9. Well, and like, 10 is an MMO, so that doesn't count. And I haven't beaten 11, so maybe they mention a dream world there. We don't know for sure.
Well, this isn't really related to what's happening, but I guess what are your thoughts on MMOs?
I like them. The only thing is, like, if I played an MMO, it would have to be something like Diablo, where it could stand on its own as a single-player game, too. Otherwise, if it was like World of Warcraft and there really wasn't any sort of end to it, it'd be kind of hard to make a... Like, I want my games to have an end to them, a set goal to them, if that makes sense, you know what I mean? Otherwise, I'm just like grinding out loot.
I do, and to me, you seem like the kind of person to... Well, if you played an MMO, which maybe you have, but it seems like you would be somebody to grind a lot, right? For the rare items.
If it was practical.
Well, perhaps.
Like I said, I've played Diablo. I actually really enjoyed Diablo 1 and 2. Haven't played the third one. Haven't heard good things about that one.
Honestly, I've always heard about Diablo, and just playing it seems pretty good. I don't know why I haven't caught up to it, but it seems like a very enjoyable game.
They are enjoyable games. The first one is maybe a little antiquated, but it's still fun in all the areas that matter. Actually, if anything, it's aged. Well, the only thing about 1 is that you walk at a super slow speed, but in some ways that makes it a lot more tactical.
From what I've seen from the Diablo series is that it doesn't matter how many years has passed, or have passed rather. The game always pretty much looks pretty good, especially for the age that it has.
It does. It's the difference between like high-tech graphics and stylized graphics.
Well, I think that, like, I believe what the game does, and I could be totally wrong, but I believe what it does is it paints in the background and it only renders the models so it can save on resources that way. Although that's not always true, there are some inconsistencies, but that seems to be the rule.
Oh yeah. That's what Final Fantasy 7 and 8 did too, and honestly, those games still look great. Apart from the models, which have aged a little, but still.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty clever that you're saving on resources doing that.
Indeed.
So, some of the characters disbanded, right? And now we have
yeah,
one
they're
character
going back
left.
to where they were.
Yeah. So I believe Carter, he might have become a carpenter, right?
Correct?
Wait, is that another pun on his name? Carter, Carpenter.
Carver, Carpent. Holy cow, it is! Like, I thought it just like, he's a wood carver, so I thought it was a pun on his title, but it's a pun on his name, too. Good find.
That is just... I mean... I have no words, really, for that.
And it was totally intentional, too, because his Japanese name is just Hassan.
What does that mean?
It's a generic martial artist name, I think.
Oh, so maybe the pun was introduced by the English version?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, the localizers love introducing their puns in the modern titles. They have a good balance of it now. At least after DQ4 and 5, where I think they went a little overboard, but generally speaking, they add a sort of flavor to the game that's just cool to see.
I think we went over this before as well, and it's like there's a right way to do puns and there's a wrong way, right? This game tries to balance, and it does a good job, I would say. Or at least I haven't noticed too many puns.
Well, we're playing the Super Nintendo version. The puns are all in the remakes, so... Oh, by the way, look in the upper right. Tanya is still here. That's because her dream world self her real world self hasn't disappeared. Unlike Ashlyn here, who never found her real world body because it was burnt to ashes. Just like her name, Ashlyn.
I believe there's a connection between this character and the main character, right? That's something.
Yeah, they're just in love with each other. You don't find out about that in Super Nintendo till the very end, but remakes, she occasionally flirts with them.
Yeah, and it's not clear whether they get to be together, right? I think so.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Right now, it's not looking very good, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, pay attention here. This is the dream world right now. And as you can see, and this is a little more obvious in the Super Nintendo than in the remakes, the ground itself disappears and gives way to the real world that is underneath. You can even see that overlay within all the giant holes we went throughout the adventure. But the castle itself remained. Keep that in mind.
A very smart transition that they did. You could notice some of the tricks that they pulled.
Indeed. Now in the remakes, they just made some new hand-drawn environments, which is an interesting change. I'll get into that a bit later. But this overlay is just the real-world overlay we've seen all the time.
So this seems to be a zoom out, right, of the real world.
Yep.
Strange. It has a bit of a beige coloration to it.
Yeah, the real world tends to use more earthy tones, as well as a more high-tempo field theme.
Okay. So what's going on here?
You see, the village of Ghent, where Nevin is from, is a village of people dedicated to the goddess, and their prayers are so powerful and effective that people come to them for healing.
Okay, and a very nice walk cycle on that cat.
Indeed. And Carver is working with his father. He left his home out of boredom and wanted to be a wandering martial artist, but now that he's helped save the world, he's calmed down a little bit.
Okay, that's fair enough. He's living a quiet life.
Yep. I mean, you punch castles and demon lords and everything to death, and your body gets a little exhausted.
The thing is that, like, something strange is that he's just like, if you had the amount of power that he has, like, wouldn't you want to, I guess, secure that power? Because, like, somebody just kill him in his sleep? I don't know. It's kind of weird.
You mean like a Wild Wild West situation?
Well, maybe, but it seems like he's just putting himself in harm's way, like, without his party. Like, well, presumably he's not as strong as he would be if he had his party members, right?
So, oh, by the way, pay attention to this scene right here. There's a hidden item that we need for the bonus boss right in that location where Terry's at. Make sure to investigate that area once we start our post-game file. It won't keep glowing blue, but it will still be there.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, that Wild West thing, there's sort of a trope in old westerns where there'll be a really famous gunslinger, a widowmaker, and when he gets to a certain reputation, all of the young guys start wanting to challenge him and take his title, so that he has to run away from all the new challengers. Are you saying that Carver would face that?
Well, partially. Now, of course, not challengers per se, but like a villain maybe, like somebody with the power of, I don't know, a boss. Well, if he has a reputation for it, you just come after him, and he wouldn't be able to defend himself as easily because he's not with his party anymore.
Well, they all have their own lives to go back to. It could be that nobody just thinks to look for him there, because if someone has that much power, who'd want to just be a wood carver?
True. Although, in general, I would say that this is a pretty good game. I enjoyed it.
Indeed. Oh yeah, oh, produce assist.
Produce assist? What?
Produce assist.
What the hell does that mean?
That's sort of that's a Japanese naming convention translated too literally. Like,
Oh, yeah,
sometimes...
Yeah, it's just funny to me.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VII actually had that same error right in the opening crawl. Like, one of the very first things it starts out with is executive produce this person.
Gosh, that is a warm welcome.
Anyways, something exciting is about to happen now. So exciting that Millie called everyone over. I wonder what we're gonna see.
Oh, that's pretty good then. Must be something pretty good.
Oh, there's Peggy Sue, still carrying the wagon on her back for some reason. There's that floating castle. And who should be inside it but our old friend Ashlyn? She is back and in the flesh.
Nice.
And it looks like she's taken that old man's advice to study under King Zenith.
Yeah, it does.
Now this egg, does it hatch? Well, obviously it does, but do we see the dragon?
No, I don't think we do. I think it just vibrates.
Whoa. It's a flashbang grenade!
Everybody goes blind. Wait, so it just had nothing inside of it? What?
I think there was supposed to be a dragon inside it, because the King Dragon is a legacy character. Dragon Quest 4 and 5 are all after 6 in the timeline, so it grows up to be that dragon. Now, let's talk about that ending for a minute, because we see that the castle is in the real world. Like, it's just in the real world. It's not in the dream world. And when we see Peggy Sue flying around, we can recognize the various locations she passes, including the harbor near Somnia, so this castle is literally right in front of Rex's kingdom. Because of that, and the fact that we have the zoom spell, which is actually mentioned in game text. It's not just a weird game mechanic thing. Like in the remakes, they'll say, go to this place at the speed of zoom and everything. It would stand to reason that Rex can still visit Ashlyn.
Well, I guess so.
Like, they have a future together. And the baby dragon hatched, so I'm assuming at some point Ashlyn could go down to the real world too. Unless they're... Like, even if she were to somehow become invisible, which is what happened to us when we went from the dream world to the real world, we still have the dream grotto, we still have the dream seeing drops, and presumably we can summon Peggy Sue whenever we want, because, you know, I'm assuming she doesn't just want to carry the wagon on her back unless she has to. Like, there is nothing stopping these two from being together. Like, absolutely nothing. And it's sort of a debate amongst the fandom that whether or not they get to share their future together, but as far as the Super Nintendo goes, I think it makes its point pretty clearly, especially with the triumphant music and the reused assets.
Now, I wonder, is this relationship that they have, is it built upon, like in the future games? Or in the past games, I suppose?
Dragon Quest is more episodic. Each title in the series is just its own standalone story. Like, there's a very loose timeline, but it doesn't... They're so far apart from each other that it typically doesn't matter.
Oh, strange.
But yeah, that was one of the more infamous things about 6. The fact that that sort of comes out of nowhere. The only hint is that you could never get rid of Ashlyn. You could get rid of everyone else in your party by putting them in Patty's party planning place and just like replace them with monsters. But you couldn't do that with Rex, the hero, and you couldn't do that with Ashlyn.
Seems to be some pretty strong evidence, I'd say.
Indeed. Now, let's talk about the remakes. The remakes muddy the waters slightly by making it possible that the Cloudsgate Citadel was still in the dream world because it has hand-drawn assets. So it's possible that the castle is actually in the dream world. However, we know that Peggy Sue reunited with her body, which means she's still in the real world. So the fact she was able to access it, it either means that it is in the real world in the remakes, or she has the ability to go into the dream world. So either way, the party can still enter Zenithia. Yeah, so really the only thing that would suggest them being separated forever is that all the tropes are there, but logically speaking, there is nothing stopping them. They should be able to get married, have kids. Rex makes her the queen and everything. That or Rex could just live with her. Anyways, have a nice day, everyone. Now, we are going to do the post-game, but it's only going to be like 3 to 4 episodes. So please, if you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know in the comments. Have a nice day, and God bless you, everyone.
It's gonna be exciting. See you, YouTube.